What's going on, boys and girls? SB here. I just got done shooting a video for like 30 minutes, and you know how I'd be going on tangents? I went off, and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna share it all. And I spent 30 minutes just going ham about this particular topic that I've been wanting to share with you guys. And at the end of it, I was like, yo, delete. It was too much. It's like you guys aren't ready for some of the stuff yet, and the audience isn't big enough to really justify the nuclear bomb that I just dropped last video. But you know, it's about slow and steady with this type of content. So believe it or not, I actually do that many times. I'll shoot a video and be like, yo, that's too much for the audience right now. You can't, SB, you can't, like, bro, chill for a second. So I'm going to pivot for half a second and go on a different topic, but it will be just as valuable to some extent. You know, when you grow up with your mom's home cooking, maybe a grandma, maybe a caretaker, whoever you had in your life, there's always someone in our life that cooks miracles in the kitchen, right? They can take PB&J and elevate it. They can make macaroni and cheese and it's just banging. It's the only thing you could think about, even though there's a main course on the table. Or like in my family, it was collard greens. It's just, the greens were, you couldn't appreciate anyone else's greens because the way my family threw it down, nobody could touch it. And it was the same ingredients, but whipped up differently. And so the chef made the course. Have you ever had your mom or somebody whip up a meal so simple but so amazing, and then you go have it at a restaurant and you're like, bro, my mom, I'm gonna just go back home. I can't believe I paid 4 or 5 times the amount for this meal when I could have the same meal at my house for much cheaper, and it's actually better. Now, we're not going to debate about how much of that is nostalgia and what you grew up with. I'm talking in a literal scenario where it actually is better. You go to a restaurant and it just don't hit the same, right? That can be the fragrance game in a nutshell. And even though this is such an obvious point, I need it to hit home with you guys. It is not the materials that make the fragrance. It is the chef who whips the fragrance. 2 people with the same materials can make 2 completely different blends. It's about chemistry, it's about balance, and it's about style in the hand that brushes it. If you hear my kids in hecticness in the background, that's my life. Welcome to it. We're going to keep rolling. I say that to say this. The notion that as you move up and spend more money to make a fragrance, which should yield a better product in every case, even though it sounds good, is just simply not true. And it's not true so often that in my experience, I've found masterful blends at every level. Cheapy, clone, inspiration, designer, vintage, niche, artisanal, everybody in between. You can have less ingredients do more to a fragrance than a lot of ingredients, or lower grade materials be better than higher grade materials, because at the end of the day, the chef has to cook the meal. And so one of the things that I absolutely despise in FragCom is the notion that the reason why you should get into artisanal and niche is because you will get a better experience simply off the merit that the ingredients are more expensive. That's not true, guys. I'm here to tell you that I've evaluated thousands of fragrances in each category at this point. Recently, in the last year or two, I've tried thousands of fragrances at every level. Don't believe me? Hit the video section on my YouTube channel and see the over thousands of videos that I've uploaded to this point. There's trash and treasure everywhere. And at the end of the day, the chef determines the blend. And in fragrance is a magic trick in many ways, because you have openings, middles, and dry downs, and you have transitions, and you have ingredients, and you have perception. And so all of those things are playing into the scent experience. Even things that have nothing to do with the scent. For instance, you can look at a Mind Games bottle and program yourself to anticipate the thrill of a niche fragrance, even though when you actually smell it, it smells designer. Or it smells cheaper than what you expected. You could convince yourself in the fact that you dropped the $500 and you open the bottle and it's got the pristine glass and the etch work and the emboss and all that, and then get to the fragrance and psych yourself into loving it more than you actually do. And we experience this all the time, guys. How many of you have bought a fragrance and 6 months down the road, you look at it and it has 99 ml in it out of 100? Because you haven't sprayed it. You forgot about it. It's not that great as you thought it was. But when you bought it and you took that first spray, you were like, woo, this is amazing. The chef makes the fragrance. Some of the most masterful blends to me are from houses like Logitech, which sells fragrances for 20 bucks. I get an amazing experience, a niche level experience, if you want to call it that, from some of my cheapest fragrances. There are general rules of thumb, but it's a per fragrance basis and a per perfumer basis to which the quality is good. And hey, newsflash, guys. Someone like MFK has masterful blends, but not every fragrance he's ever made is amazing or even good. Everybody, even at the masterful level, is capable of making a trash product in the next thing, in the same way that as an engineer and as a musician, I could make heat and I can make utter trash. It's not a game to which you arrive at a certain level and everything is just gas, 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 gas. We have different levels of luck with the chemistry, timing, what you know about certain notes, your experience with certain notes over others. Certain raw materials just complement more things than other materials. So there's easy and hard materials to work with. And there's just so many moving targets and factors that influence what you get in the end product. So my point is this, guys. I think a lot of people who are wearing what they would call higher end luxury fragrance need a bit of a news flash. Because my question to you is this, very simple question. Let's say I have Versace Eros and it costs me $35 for 100 ml. And you give me a fragrance like it that costs $500. My question to you, if you're making the quality upgrade argument to me, is simply this. We don't have to be rocket scientists here. Let's say the Eros costed $8 to make, the juice. How much more do you think fragrance X, that's just like it, that's $500, costs to make? Do you think that $500 upcharge or the $470, $465 upcharge is a juice upgrade? Are you trying to argue with me that it costs an extra several $100s to upgrade the juice? What about 200 extra bucks? What about 100? Would you argue with me that your $500 fragrance, instead of my $8 juice, costed more like $100 to manufacture? Come on, guys. Let's be real. We know most fragrances are manufactured under $20 for the juice. 100 mil. We know this. We don't know the exact numbers, and it varies, and most of the cost that comes into a fragrance has to do with distribution and manufacture costs and relationships to people, and and the fact that people have staff and have to keep the lights on and own brick and mortar buildings and things like that. We know that they're 90% of a fragrance's influx in cost has to do with everything other than the juice. So I just hate the notion that you have to go into a $200+ experience and only then can you experience the weight and gravity of high-end luxury perfume. Because at the end of the day, similar to my story at the very beginning, you can have a chef with limited or cheaper materials make heat in the same way that my mom's steak or her mac and cheese or her apple pie can be better than going to Ruth Chris and getting the same thing with higher end materials, but it just doesn't taste as good. Matter of fact, the upcharge was inflated simply because the sign on the door and the building and the 8 people who served me and the music that was playing. We gotta get out of some of these things that we just plug into our mind. Now, there are very general rules of thumb that apply. Like paying more for a fragrance should equal an elevated fragrance. But much of the time, that's not what you get. You get illusions of elevation. Maybe an elevated bottle, maybe an elevated box, maybe elevated marketing, maybe a bigger name telling you that it's good. And it's really equal to or even lesser than some other things. Now, granted, what that also means is that on the other end, cheaper materials have to have an amazing chef to make it work, and some do. So maybe there's a little bit higher odds that by paying more money, you're gonna get a better fragrance. In theory, you should, but there are too many factors that can mess up that simple thought. Maybe you have a bad perfumer. Maybe the perfumer is not experienced with those materials. Maybe they were in a rush to put out that fragrance. Maybe they're in a loss as a company and they're just trying to crank something out, but keep it at the same price because of their brand history. Maybe they're trying to live off of old success instead of create new success. Maybe they hired a bunch of new employees that year, so all the costs went up. Maybe a life event happened in the world and all the costs got raised and it had nothing to do with the fragrance. Guys, there's so many things that have nothing to do with that juice that can give the perception that certain lanes of fragrance are capable of doing more than other lanes. Some of your favorite high-end luxury perfumers create fragrances for designer brands and cheaper fragrance lines. You think they're turning it down for them? Come on, guys, we got to wake up with this. There is trash and treasure in every side. And I used to think going into niche and artisanal that I could mostly get an amazing experience from these fragrances. But here's the other kicker. More is not always more. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes there's a such thing as a fragrance doing so much that it ruins the experience. And that's another big hurdle that you fall into with niche is many fragrances are doing too much and lose sight of the practicality of the fragrance wearing experience. Just a couple of thoughts that I had, guys, but I say all of this not for the sake of saying it. I say it because in your fragrance journey, you must be open to finding trash and treasure everywhere. And there is treasure everywhere. And the benefit in this case is if you open your mind to vintage or garage sale or auctions or collectors getting rid of stuff, a lot of times you can get in at crazy, astounding price points that you would never see out in even your best discounter pricing and be able to get into it. And you can find a lot of gems that people have forgotten about or that the world never caught up to. And so that's why when you look at my collection, you might see something is recognizable as, let's see, this. You might see something as exquisite and as niche as this. And you might see right next to it something as old but still as complex and with depth and amazingness as this. Or something super cheap but hasn't just as incredible of a smell as the others that cost $20, like this. I've stopped seeing labels and bottles and boxes and brands, and I've started just looking at juice. The juice hunt is on, and I'm willing to look anywhere for it. And thankfully for you guys, I'm doing a lot of the dirty work that you guys refuse to do. And I'm happy to do it, and I hope you get value from it. And I hope it sparks something in your own fragrance journey to take control of your life, not just with fragrance, but just with your life itself, that the life you want to live, you need to seize it and take control and have a sober perspective of where you actually are in life and where you're trying to go, and turn off all the other noise so that you can go out and really live your life to create the life that you want. Because all that distraction is creating excuses, and it's a paralyzing weight to carry to not have control of your life for the sake of letting other things and people and voices curate your life experience. And I hope that's not bleeding into your fragrance journey, because there is a lot of good juice to be smelled out there in these streets. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. Talk to me, I do talk back. I'm going to throw 2 videos up based off what you've been searching for. Please join the Discord server below. It's free and it's about to hit its cap. We're almost at 100 people. It's where I'm going to cap off, because I'm trying to build a smaller community outside of my YouTube channel and all that. But also feel free, if you're new here, to look at the playlist section where I've perfectly divided out this channel into different binge-worthy topics, from entertainment to education to reviews to collaborations. It's all organized very nicely for you. Let me know your thoughts on some of the things I spoke about. You guys have been very active and vocal, so I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments, and we will continue building upon this conversation. Love you guys. SB signing out.